Hare Krishna. So we welcome all the devotees to the weekly Bhagavad Gita class, which is organized in the English language in Sri Sri Radha Gokulananda Temple. Last Saturday we discussed on the first verse of Bhagavad Gita, the first verse of the first chapter. So today we will just quickly recap what we had studied in the first verse, and then we will proceed from the second verse onwards. So in the first verse, which is spoken by King Dhritarashtra, we studied that Dhritarashtra's mind is revealed. Dhritarashtra's mind, his mind which is full of crookedness and duplicity, gets revealed in the first verse, where he asks his secretary Sanjay that please tell me what my sons and my brother Pandu's sons they did in the Dharmakshetra, in the land of religion, which is named Kurukshetra. So, what is that aspect about his mind that is revealed? He has that feeling of difference towards his sons and his brother Pandu's sons. He doesn't treat them equally. That is why he addresses them separately. He addresses the Kauravas as his sons and he addresses the Pandavas as his brother Pandu's sons. And we had also discussed about the aspect about Sanjay, how Sanjay had actually participated in the entire battle in the Mahabharata war, and time to time he was coming from the war and he was narrating to King Dhritarashtra what had happened in the war. So we will recite the second verse and then we will discuss about that. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, text 2. Sanjaya uvacha दृष्ट्वा तु पाण्डवानीकं व्यूढं दुर्योधनस्तदा आचार्यमुपसंगम्य राजा वचनमब्रवीत्. संजय उवाच दृष्ट्वा तु पाण्डवानीकं व्यूढं दुर्योधनस्तदा आचार्यमुपसंगम्य राजा वचनमब्रवीत्. संजय उवाच दृष्ट्वा तु पाण्डवानीकं व्यूढं दुर्योधनस्तदा आचार्यमुपसंगम्य राजा वचनमब्रवीत्. संजय उवाच दृष्ट्वा तु पाण्डवानीकं व्यूढं दुर्योधनस्तदा आचार्यमुपसंगम्य राजा वचनमब्रवीत्. Anyone else? Okay. What meanings? Sanjaya uvacha. Sanjay said, Drishtva, after seeing, to but Pandava Anikam, the soldiers of the Pandavas, Vyudham, arranged in a military phalanx, Duryodhana, King Duryodhana, Tada, at that time, Acharyam, the teacher, Upasangamya, approaching, Raja, the king, Vachanam, words, Abravit, spoke. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. Sanjay said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhan went to his teacher and spoke the following words. Purport. Dhritarashtra was blind from birth. Unfortunately, he was also bereft of spiritual vision. He knew very well that his sons were equally blind in the matter of religion, and he was sure that they could never reach an understanding with the Pandavas, who were all pious since birth. Still, he was doubtful about the influence of the place of pilgrimage, and Sanjay could understand his motive in asking about the situation on the battlefield. Sanjay wanted, therefore, to encourage the despondent king and thus assured him that his sons were not going to make any sort of compromise under the influence of the holy place. Sanjay therefore informed the king that his son Duryodhan, after seeing the military force of the Pandavas, at once went to the commander-in-chief Dronacharya to inform him of the real position. Although Duryodhan is mentioned as the king, he still had to go to the commander on account of the seriousness of the situation. He was therefore quite fit to be a politician. But Duryodhan's diplomatic veneer could not disguise the fear he felt when he saw the military arrangement of the Pandavas. So before the Mahabharata war began, Duryodhan and Yudhishthir, Duryodhan, who is the leader from the Kauravas, and Yudhishthir from the Pandavas side, they both approached Dronacharya actually. Although here Sanjay is narrating only about Duryodhan, because he knows that is what the king wants to know. The king is actually interested in knowing what Duryodhan did first. So Sanjay narrates about Duryodhan, and in Mahabharata it is very nicely narrated what is the difference between the approach of Duryodhan and Yudhishthir. In what mood and with what attitude they approach their teachers, Dronacharya, Bhishma. So in this verse, Sanjay is answering the question of Dhritarashtra, who had asked that when my sons and Pandu's sons assembled in the war, in the battlefield, what did they do? That's what he has asked. So Sanjay has begun to answer his question. So Sanjay is able to answer all this, as we had discussed in the previous class, that he had attained divine vision, Divya Drishti. He had received it by the mercy of Srila Vyasadeva, and Sanjay was omniscient. Omniscient means he was all-knowing, at least for these 18 days. For the period of 18 days he had become omniscient. He knew everything, each and every smallest detail that was happening in the Mahabharata war. So Sanjay was already in the service of the king, Dhritarashtra, from beginning only. But at this time he was specially ordered by Vyasadeva that he should keep telling the same things to Dhritarashtra. Whatever Dhritarashtra asked, Sanjay should answer Dhritarashtra's questions from whatever he heard and saw happening in the battlefield. And Sanjay knows the reason why the divine vision was given to him by Vyasadeva. What was the reason? Very simple. So that he could tell Dhritarashtra whatever events were happening in the war, on the battlefield. Otherwise, there was no reason for him to get divine vision. The only purpose was to narrate the events of the battle. So, what was happening is, when Sanjay was describing the war to the king Dhritarashtra, time to time in middle, he used to repeatedly criticize Dhritarashtra also. He was not just narrating the events of the battle, but he was also taking the opportunity to criticize the king. Because he knew that the king was responsible for such heavy destruction. Although the king Dhritarashtra always showed in front of everyone that his son is responsible for everything, but his son was officially not the king. So being the king, Dhritarashtra always had power to stop the war. But due to his attachment to his son, he did not do that. So Sanjay used to repeatedly criticize Dhritarashtra that, O king, because of you such heavy destruction has been done in this particular war. And in the previous class we heard how many crores of soldiers they died in the war of Mahabharata. So this is what he used to do. He used to repeatedly criticize the king. Now Sanjay was not just narrating the events, he was taking care of the king also. Whenever Sanjay used to tell the king that some important leader in the war has died, he has fallen down, so Dhritarashtra used to faint after hearing the news of the death of great warriors. So when Dhritarashtra used to faint and he used to fall down, then Sanjay used to take care of Dhritarashtra and used to assure him. So Sanjay was narrating the events, he was criticizing the king also, but being his servant, he was also taking care of the king. So actually Sanjay remained in the service of Dhritarashtra throughout his life, as I had told briefly in the previous class also. After the Mahabharata war ended, Dhritarashtra with his queen Gandhari, they stayed in the palace for 15 years. 15 years after the end of the war, Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Kunti and Sanjay along with him, they went to the forest. So those events are narrated in brief in the Srimad Bhagavatam, how Vidur, he severely chastised King Dhritarashtra that you are living, in this old age you are living at the mercy of the Pandavas, you should just get out of the kingdom. So Dhritarashtra went with his queen, and Dhritarashtra was performing very severe penance. He used to keep one piece of stone in his mouth and he used to just survive on air. That was the penance he was performing, and he used to remain silent. And Sanjay at that time, he used to eat once in 3 days. So he was also performing tapasya. When Dhritarashtra was walking and he used to walk on the land was not plain, it was not even, it was uneven. So Dhritarashtra had the risk of falling down because he had become very old. So Sanjay used to give support to the king Dhritarashtra whenever he was walking on land which was not of plain surface. So 6 months passed, and one day when Dhritarashtra and his queen were in the forest, suddenly a fire broke out, and Dhritarashtra was not able to escape from the fire because he was doing so much of fasting, he was just surviving on air. So he had lost lot of energy due to the fasting. And Dhritarashtra, he told Sanjay that Sanjay, I will not be able to escape from here. You run away from this place, from this fire. You go to such a place where you will not get burnt. Myself, Gandhari, Kunti, we will achieve the ultimate destination by putting ourselves in the fire here. So we will burn in the fire, but you run away from here. Then Sanjay, he did parikrama. He circumambulated the king because the king was his master. Although the king was crooked, but still master is master and servant is servant. So he circumambulated Dhritarashtra and he told Maharaj, now please prepare yourself to leave the body. And then Sanjay went to the Himalayas after Dhritarashtra's death. So in this way, whole life he served the king. So this Sanjay, he was the son of a Suta named Gavalgan. His father's name was Gavalgan. And that's why the second name of Sanjay was Gavalgani. So as I had told in this also in the previous class, but it is relevant because today's verse is being spoken by Sanjay. So the word Suta has 3 meanings. One is the chariot driver, that is also Suta. And one is the son of a Kshatriya who is born from the womb of a Brahmin mother. Means if the father is of a lower caste and the mother is higher caste. If father is Kshatriya but the mother is Brahman, then also the son will be treated as a Suta. And Suta is also the narrator of ancient history, Puranas, like Suta Goswami. So Suta Goswami, like Suta is a common noun, it is the name of the caste, Suta. They narrate the Puranas. Now the first and the second definition don't apply to Sanjay. He was not a chariot driver and he was not the son of any Kshatriya and born from Brahmin mother. But his service was to narrate all the histories and the Puranas to the king. So this was, as we discussed this also in previous class, that the only one quality that Dhritarashtra had, which was a great quality, was that he liked to hear. And that's why Bhagavad Gita begins from Dhritarashtra Uvacha, one who likes to hear. But the problem was, he was hearing, but he was not applying what he heard on his own life. He remained attached. He used to just hear theoretically. So that way Sanjay can be treated as a Suta from this point of view. He used to narrate the histories and Puranas to the king. So, the third meaning applies completely to Sanjay. Now, Sanjay, through the divine vision that he had obtained through Vyasdev, he narrated the full 18-day battle to Dhritarashtra. And that way, Sanjay's role became a very important part in Mahabharata. And not only that, Sanjay's name has also eternally been included in the Bhagavad Gita because of this particular service that he performed. So let's come to this particular verse, today's verse, the second one. Here Sanjay is telling Drishtva tu Pandavanikam, means after seeing the soldiers of the Pandavas. Drishtva is seeing Pandava Anikam. Anikam is army. Pandava's army. He saw the army, the soldiers of the Pandavas. So we know that in Mahabharata, after the 10th day, after 10 days, Bhishma Dev he had fallen. And we discussed in the previous class that Sanjay came to Dhritarashtra at the end of the 10th day, when Bhishma had fallen. We had discussed that Bhishma had fallen during the day, and normally the war used to end in the evening at sunset. But on the day when Bhishma fell down, then the war ended early that day. So Sanjay got a lot of time, extra time. So he thought, okay, let me go to the king and narrate whatever has happened. And this is the most important event. Bhishma, the commander of the army, he has only fallen down. So it must be informed to him. So on the request of Dhritarashtra, Sanjay is narrating the incident from the beginning. Although Dhritarashtra knew that Bhishma Dev has fallen down, but he asked Sanjay to tell from beginning. So he is telling from the beginning, even before the war actually started. So here the verse says Drishtva tu. Tu means like we say parantu, kintu, but. So what is the meaning here? Why he is telling like that Drishtva tu? So he is telling to Dhritarashtra, see, I told you that Bhishma Dev has fallen down. Okay. Tu means but what? But Duryodhan tried his best to protect Bhishma. That is why he is telling Drishtva tu. Tu means but means some opposite meaning. Bhishma has fallen down, but don't think that your son did not try his best. Your son tried his best to protect Bhishma, according to his point of view. So that's why he is telling Drishtva tu. Drishtva tu Pandava Anikam. So Duryodhan, he has seen the army of the Pandavas, and Duryodhan has become frightened internally. He is not showing his fear externally, but internally Duryodhan is frightened. He is afraid. Because he knows very well what is the power of Pandavas. And most importantly, who is driving the chariot of Arjuna? When Sri Krishna himself is present, then what is the power of the army? So, Drishtva tu Pandavanikam Vyudham Duryodhanas tada. Vyuha Rachana. Duryodhan, he saw the military arrangement of the Pandavas army. Not just the army. Army is one thing. He just did not see the army. He also saw how the army has been designed very expertly. So in a battlefield, simply some people coming together, they can't win the war. You need a proper strategy. Every person has to be placed in his strategic position. So he saw how expertly the whole arrangement in the army had been made. So it is said that before sunrise, both the armies, they stood up by making their own arrangement. They were preparing for the war. And when Bhishma, he raised the army of Kauravas. Bhishma was preparing the Kauravas army. That time, I am just telling a little background. Yudhishthir Maharaj, he became very much concerned, because he knew what is the power of who is Bhishma. Bhishma is unconquerable. Nobody can defeat him. So he told Arjun that, Arjun, see this army that our grandsire Bhishma, he has created. It is impossible to go inside this army. How can we defeat them? And not only that, our army has only 7 Akshohini and their army has 11 Akshohini. Duryodhan had taken the full Narayani Sena of Lord Shri Krishna. So Arjun, now you consider this and think about it and arrange our army, design it in a very expert way. So then when Arjun heard this from his elder brother Maharaj Yudhishthir, then he said, Maharaj, I will make a very special type of army. and this arrangement is known as Vajra. So there are different names for different types of arrangements, military arrangements. One arrangement is known as Vajra. Vajra is like a special type of design where different soldiers will be placed in their positions. So Arjun said that although our army is small, compared to their 11 Akshauhini, we have only 7 Akshauhini. But still, when they will see that our army is standing in the Vajra Vyuha formation, then they will become very afraid. And this is what happened actually. That's why Duryodhan became afraid. Although Duryodhan knew that their army is small compared to us, so this question can be raised actually. A person who is having 11 Akshauhini, why should he become afraid by seeing his opponents who have only 7 Akshauhini? There is no logic in that. Means almost 35% less strength. Why should he become afraid? Actually, Pandavas should become afraid by looking at 11 Akshauhini Sena. But here opposite has happened. So that is because, that's why in this verse Sanjay is telling Drishtva tu Pandavanikam Vyudham. Duryodhan did not become afraid by seeing the size of the army. He became afraid by seeing the arrangement of the army. The way the whole design was created, that made him afraid. So Arjun had predicted this earlier only. Arjun had told that when they will see our Vajra Vyuha formation, they will become very much afraid. And this is what happened. Not only that, Arjun said that we will place Bhimsen in the front of the army. Bhim will stand in front. And when they will see Bhim in the front, their fear will increase even more by seeing Bhima in the front. So here that is exactly what is going to happen. Sanjay is telling that Duryodhan saw the army in which Bhimsen was standing in the front. He was giving the guard. So then the question is, okay, Bhimsen is in the front, but where were the other Pandavas? So these details also were told to Dhritarashtra. Sanjay told him that Nakul and Sahadev, they used to protect the right and the left wheels of Bhimsen's chariot. So Bhimsen was not on the ground, he was on his own rath, on the chariot, he was guarding. So his right wheel was being protected by Nakul and left wheel was being protected by Sahadev. So this was very important. The commander should always be protected. If commander is lost, the whole army will lose its confidence. So the whole confidence, the self-confidence of the army depends on the commander. When they see the commander protected in front, they feel safe. Otherwise, they feel unsafe. And the 5 sons of Draupadi plus Abhimanyu was Subhadra's son. These 6 were protecting Bhimsen from behind. So right and left he was protected by Nakul Sahadev, and from behind he was protected by 5 sons of Draupadi and Subhadra's son Abhimanyu. Plus along with this, Shikhandi was also there, who had taken birth only to kill Bhishma. The only purpose of Shikhandi's birth was to kill Bhishma, because Shikhandi or Shikhandini, whatever we call, she was carrying that revenge, that feeling of revenge from the previous birth only. When Bhishma had rejected the proposal of marriage, and even Parshuramji could not do anything, because ultimately Bhishma, he defeated Parshuram also, and he said that I have taken the vow of Brahmacharya, I will not marry. So Shikhandi was born to kill Bhishma only, and Bhishma knew that. And Shikhandi was there to defend Arjun, because Arjun's life was under threat from one person only, and that was Bhishma, the main opponent. Then, who was protecting Arjun? Arjun was being protected by Satyaki from behind, and Arjun's chariots were protected by Yudhamanyu and Uttamauja. And we will see as we go forward, all these names will come up in the verses. This is the reason, because these were like the prominent warriors who were in the front in the battlefield, and they were protecting the whole army. Then Arjun was protected also by King Dhrishtaketu and Chekitan. These 2 warriors, they were also protecting Arjun. So he had created this Vajra Vyuha formation. And from all sides, Pandava's army, even though small, was looking extremely dangerous. That's why Duryodhan became afraid. Plus, Duryodhan also saw the special bow in the hand of Arjun, and that was Gandiv. The Gandiv bow Arjun's Gandiv and Bhimsen's Gada. These two were also enough to create fear in the heart of Duryodhana. These two were not ordinary instruments. So at that time it is said that the whole Kaurava army, they were shivering actually. Just by seeing the dangerous formation of Pandava's army, the Kaurava army was shivering. And especially when they saw Bhimsen holding his Gada, they became very much afraid. The whole Kaurava army. So Kaurava army was very big in size, okay, and Pandava's army was not so big. But still, we should remember that no matter you make Vajravyuha formation or whatever you do, actually the whole thing, everything was happening only because of one reason. What was that one reason? Bhagavan Shri Krishna was himself personally protecting the Pandava's army. Bhimsen standing, Arjun standing, Vajravyuha formation, these are all actually secondary points. The primary reason is that Lord Shri Krishna himself was standing there, protecting everyone. So then Sanjay says, Acharyam upasangamya raja vachanam abravit. So Acharyam upasangamya, King Duryodhan, he went to the Acharya. Raja vachanam abravit. And then Duryodhan spoke. He went to his Acharya. Who is Acharya? Duryodhan. Dronacharya. And Raja vachanam abravit. King Duryodhan, he spoke the following words. So now this Raja word is interesting. Duryodhan is not the Raja. Raja is Dhritarashtra. So why he is telling Raja vachanam abravit? One reason is that Duryodhan considered himself as the king. And we know in Mahabharata that Duryodhan actually took all the decisions. Although officially he was not the king, ultimately every decision was being taken by him only. And the king was just acting like a puppet in the hands of his son. So in reality, Duryodhan always, although not officially king, he always considered himself as king only. So Sanjay is making a very important point here. He is highlighting the fault of Duryodhan. He is telling that your son Duryodhan, he went to his guru in the bhava, in the mood of a king, which he should not have done. He should have gone to his guru Dronacharya with the attitude of a student, right? I cannot go and visit my guru in the mood of a king. I may be the king, but still, when a king also goes in front of his guru, he remains very humble. So he is telling Raja vachanam abravit, your son, he went to his guru, his acharya in the mood of a king. So he should not have done this because he is approaching the acharya. When somebody is going to acharya or guru, no matter even if he is king or whatever, even God, even Lord Shri Krishna, when he also approached his guru Sandipani Muni, he went in a very humble mood, not in the mood of God. So Duryodhan was missing this attitude of humility. Now he is mentioning about Duryodhan, but Yudhishthir Maharaj, he had also gone to meet. But there was a difference in the attitude. Yudhishthir Maharaj, he did not go as a king. First of all, he removed his armor. Armor is like the protection, the shield. He removed this armor and all the astra shastra, whatever he was carrying, he removed everything. He went in simple dress to Bhishma Dev and Dronacharya and he folded his hands. Duryodhan went in the dress of king only to his guru. Right, now this is the most important event of Duryodhan's life. Now his whole future career is dependent on this battle. And he is starting the battle not by taking blessings but by going and giving order. He will go and give order to Dronacharya. You did this like this, you should do this, you should do that. But Yudhishthir, he is going like a student. He is going to take blessings, not to give order. So when he came to Dronacharya, he folded his hands, he bowed down to the Acharya. Not only that, he also did their parikrama. He circumambulated Dronacharya and asked for his permission, can I fight? And Duryodhan is giving him order, you should fight like this, you should fight like that. Whereas Yudhishthir is taking his blessings, do I have your permission to fight? Although actually Yudhishthir does not need his permission because the war is already decided. Everyone has come for war only, now what permission do you need? But still he is following the etiquette. Even though his guru is on the opposite side, but still guru is guru. So he is maintaining proper etiquette. So there is a lot of difference between their attitude and their mood. Duryodhan is coming with a mood of authority, that this war is under my leadership. Even though you are my guru, you are here to serve me. And Yudhishthir is going with the feeling of service. So Acharyam upasangamya. Now upasangamya, one more meaning of upasangamya can be enjoyment. Upasangamya can also mean enjoyment. So when he is telling Acharyam upasangamya, he also means that your son is going there with the feeling of enjoyment, not of service. He treats his guru as a servant actually. Although externally he may show respect, but he is treating his guru like his servant only. His guru Dronacharya has to do whatever he wants. But Pandavas are not like that. Pandavas always have maintained the feeling of servant, that they are the servant of guru. They don't give order to the guru. But yes, when Krishna orders something, then that is supreme. Nothing can supersede Krishna's order. So anyway, this is the symptom of Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, disciple actually acts as the guru of his guru. Guru is only namesake. In Kali Yuga, the guru has to obey the orders of the disciple. This is the symptom. In Kali Yuga, students give order to teachers. In the previous Yuga, students used to follow teacher. In Kali Yuga, teacher follows the student. So that's why Mahabharata says that Duryodhan is actually the incarnation of Kali. Duryodhan is actually Kali's incarnation only. So he contains all the faults that Kali contains. In the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Sri Krishna describes 20 items of knowledge. In the 20 items of knowledge, 20 limbs of knowledge, the 6th limb is known as Acharyopasanam, worship of Acharya, worship of Guru. So Lord Sri Krishna is telling this is a symptom of knowledge. Okay. And giving order to Guru, that is the symptom of ignorance. So Duryodhan is proving himself to be a most ignorant person. He is making a very inauspicious beginning to the most important event of his life. So anybody who goes to teacher, he should remain very humble. This is very important. Whenever, no matter how qualified the disciple may be, when he approaches the Guru, he should be very humble. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Guru more murkha dekhi korila shasam. That my Guru, Srila Ishwar Puri, he saw that I am a fool. Now, he is God himself. But he saw that I am a fool and he gave me order that you forget about studying all this Vedanta and all. You are not fit for Vedanta. You just chant holy name. So the point is that disciple should not try to act artificially in the foolish way. But genuinely he should consider in his mind that he is a fool, at least when he is in front of Guru. So authentic Guru is representative of Krishna. Therefore, if somebody gets the blessings of the Guru, then the disciple will immediately progress, even if he is not able to follow rules and regulations. And if somebody serves the Guru without selfishness, then following rules and regulations become very simple. So in Mahabharata we see Dronacharya had lot of affection for Arjuna. Some people consider it as partiality, but this is not partiality. This is natural feeling for any human being. If a person has two sons, he will naturally have more affection for the one who is more humble, more surrendered, having more service attitude. That is natural. There is nothing about partiality. So Dronacharya is also a person. He is not a stone. He is not a machine that he can just act in a neutral way with everyone. That is not possible. So he used to teach Dhanurved to many princes, but his maximum affection was towards Arjuna. One day Dronacharya called all his disciples in solitude, separately, and he told that I have a desire in my mind. When your Astra Siksha is over, will you fulfill my wish? Whatever I ask you, will you give? Now this is a very dangerous question. Because if I tell yes, then whatever he asks, I have to be ready to give. What if he ends up asking something that I don't want to give? This is very dangerous question, isn't it? So all the princes, they remained silent. Everybody remained silent. Because Dronacharya had not revealed what he will ask. He had just kept it as a suspense. Whatever I will ask, will you give when your training is over? Will you give or no? Just tell yes or no. The only person to tell yes was Arjun. Arjun then and there itself took a vow that whatever you wish, and he took that vow not just because okay, he is my guru, I don't have any option, I have to give Guru Dakshina, not like that. He actually took this vow with lot of enthusiasm that whatever you want, I will do that. Then Dronacharya became very pleased. And we know that at the end of the training, Dronacharya asked Arjun that go and bring Drupad, tie him. He had that old enmity with Drupad, which we will discuss in the next verse. So Arjun did that. He fulfilled his promise. Once Dronacharya, he embraced Arjun and he said, my son, I am giving you a blessing. I will try my best that there will be no archer in the world greater than you. That's why Arjun is known as Sreshth, Sarvasreshth Dhanurdhar. So Dronacharya had decided only that I will make you the greatest archer of this world. And he always paid special attention in teaching archery to Arjun. So many times this is also one allegation that is put on Dronacharya. How can you do like that? No, that is very simple. Somebody who is more qualified, the teacher will always give him special attention, special training. Because a more qualified student deserves more attention. You have so many students in a class. Whoever is more serious naturally will get more attention of student. This is natural. This is quite natural. There is nothing about partiality in this. If the Kauravas would also have maintained the same mood like Arjun, then Dronacharya would also have maintained same feeling for them also. In a way, he was neutral for everyone, but special things for special people. So Dronacharya, he used to wake up early in the morning to celebrate the victory of Pandavas as he pledged to do battle for Duryodhan. He had decided that I will fight for Duryodhan only. He had told that, because he has maintained me. Dronacharya was maintained by the Kauravas kingdom. So somebody who is maintaining us, it is our duty to serve that person. So, but still he used to wake up and internally his mood was that Pandavas should win. Externally he was serving Duryodhan, but internally he always desired that Pandavas should win the battle. So once it happened that Dronacharya, Duryodhan, he became angry at Dronacharya, and he told him that you are so much affectionate to Arjun, that is why you are not fighting this battle with your full heart. You are not putting your heart in the battle, because your heart is actually in Arjun. I know that very well since our Gurukul days only. We know that. So then Dronacharya told Duryodhan that, see Duryodhan, I have always been telling you that it is impossible for you to win against Arjun. It is not something new. I have been telling you since beginning. When you started that gambling, that time Vidur had said that, see Duryodhan, you are attached to this dice pasa. You think that this dice will actually throw the Pandavas away and this dice will give you the kingdom. Vidur had told that time, one day these dice will come back to you like the arrows of Arjun. The dice, the pasa that you are throwing and you are defeating the Pandavas, the same dice they will transform into the arrows of Arjun and they will kill you. That day will come. You had heard this from Vidur, because we know Vidur had protested during the gambling match. Not only this, the worst thing you did was you insulted Draupadi in the assembly in front of all of us. Draupadi is not some ordinary woman. First of all, nobody should think even of doing such a thing to any ordinary woman also, anybody. But Draupadi is very special. Draupadi is born from a yajna. She is not some ordinary lady. Drupad Maharaj, he had conducted a fire sacrifice and Draupadi was born from the fire sacrifice. She is a very great lady and she is fully dharmic. She is religious, she follows all dharma. Otherwise, how can she be born from the fire sacrifice? She did not deserve this insult from you. Sometimes people say that Draupadi had laughed at Duryodhan. Andhe ka beta bhi andha hi hota hai. So this is actually a very foolish logic. If a woman laughs at a male person, does that mean she should be insulted like this? If a woman of my family laughs at somebody, will I tolerate she being insulted in front of everybody like Draupadi? We laugh at so many people in our life. So in Niti Shastra it is said that punishment should be the level of punishment should be according to the level of the insult. Punishment should not be so big. So actually in Mahabharata there is no mention also that Draupadi had laughed, but theoretically assuming also, even if she had done that, did she deserve this kind of punishment? This kind of conspiracy, what was done against her? Definitely no. So Dronacharya said that you did all this to her, she did not deserve this. So what is happening to you? You are thinking that I am not putting my heart in the battle. You think that Bhishma is not putting his heart in the battle. No, you are wrong. You are actually receiving the reactions of your own sinful activities and you are blaming us that we are not fighting the battle with full heart. And I am telling you, actually what is happening to you is very good. If you lose this battle, it is good. Because if you don't receive your sinful reactions now, in future life you will suffer in so many hells to receive the reactions of all the sins you have done in this life. So you better suffer in this life only. That is only good for you. And you are telling that I am affectionate towards Arjun. What to speak of Arjun? These Pandavas, they are like my sons. What to speak of affectionate? They are actually like my sons. Yes, I accept that. Why? Because they always practice dharma. You have always committed sinful activities. How do you deserve to be treated on the same level like them? Just because you have maintained me, I am serving you. But their leader is Dharmaraj. Yudhishthir, he is personified dharma himself. Who is the other? And then Dronacharya, he started criticizing himself. Dhikkar, my life is waste. People say I am a Brahman. What type of Brahman I am? I betrayed the Pandavas, who are personified religion. A Brahman's duty is to perform dharma his whole life. And I am fighting against Dharmaraj only. Do I deserve to be called a Brahman? What type of Brahman am I? So this shows that actually Dronacharya, he was not exactly supporting the Kauravas. He was fighting on their side because he had no other option. But internally his heart was always actually with the Pandavas, which Duryodhan knew very well. And Dronacharya is telling, yes, it is like that. So you are suffering for your own deeds only, not because of us. We have always tried to give you good advice. If you never listen to us, whose fault is it? It is your fault only. So Dronacharya never enjoyed fighting against the Pandavas, but he had no option. What can be done? So anyway, why does Sanjay call Duryodhan as the king here? Actually the king was Dhritarashtra. So Sanjay is actually making fun of the king. He is criticizing him indirectly, satire. That you are king, you are only namesake king. By what type of king are you? King should support dharma, and you always supported adharma in the form of your son Duryodhan. So what type of king are you? You could not control your evil son also. So final point, Duryodhan is actually trying to take advantage of his guru. This is the lesson that we should derive from this verse, that we should be the servant of Guru. We should not try to become the boss of the Guru. Otherwise, we will bring our own destruction only. Nothing will happen to Guru. Guru will remain what he is. But our future will become dark if we try to act as the boss of the Guru. We should listen to words of Guru. We should not give orders to Guru. Even mentally, we should not maintain this attitude. Srila Prabhupada many times used to tell his disciples that never think that you know more than your Guru. Don't try to think that you have become more realized than your Guru. It may happen sometimes that disciple has more knowledge. It is possible. But still, disciple is disciple and Guru is Guru. Disciple can never become the Guru. Even Bhagavan, even Lord Sri Krishna, Lord Ramchandra, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even in their Gurukul, they remained as a student only. We never hear any account where they try to boss over their Guru. That is never heard. So this is Duryodhana. He is representing Kali. And the symptom of Kali is that teachers are not respected, seniors are not respected. So that is why everywhere the atmosphere is full of inauspiciousness. So if we want auspiciousness in our life, we have to begin by respecting the elders, the seniors, and giving highest respect to Guru. Because Guru only gives Krishna. How can, if I don't respect the person who will give me Krishna, then what is my future? There is no future. Future is completely dark. So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna.